Thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in, for downloading, however it is that you're getting this show. This is Just the Worst AMA podcast. This is our debut episode number 1. So, hooray! Celebration. Thanks for joining us on this historic occasion. Yeah. I'm your host, Billy Donnelly, joined by my partner in this endeavor, the one, the only, the not really legendary Brian McKevitt.
I'm kind of legendary.
No, not really.
Whatever. Neither are you.
No, I'm not either.
We're kind of anonymous.
At least I wouldn't say that. I get a name. At least I'm not pretending, though. I'm not saying I'm legendary.
True enough. That's cool.
Yeah, see, so there you go.
That's something. We get that going for us.
Yeah, so,
honesty.
Yeah, a genuine authenticity.
Which is very useful in this particular show.
Yeah, you like that? See? I'm Bill Donnelly. You would know me from thisisinfamous.com, also joeblow.com, and now Just the Worst podcast. And Brian McKevitt, my good friend for a number of years now, almost like 2 years now.
Time flies.
2 years and change, I think it is, right?
Obscurity.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that. You're like one of my longest reigning friends.
Is that true? Really?
It's gotta be.
What's wrong with you?
It probably is. I'm not really good around like people. I find, and plus, like as I've gotten older, I just find like they drop off more. I just don't have the time.
Somehow I made the cut.
Yeah, it's because but that's why we podcast together. We just have very similar sensibilities.
and they are essentially, let's talk once a week and then just leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, like let's just bullshit for a little bit, and then like it's satisfying enough, and then I go about the rest of my life, and then I'm just like, hey, and then even if we don't talk for like a little bit, we still just like check in every once in a while. We're like, hey man, what's going on? And like we just find something to bullshit about.
Absolutely, because we're into the same kind of nonsense, much like all the people who listen to the show.
Yeah, see, so we share common ground. There's a commonality between us that makes a show like this possible.
And one of the coolest things about us that makes a show like this possible is that we kind of think we know everything. So we feel like people can ask us questions and we will answer them.
No, it's actually, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I have just found that, and my wife would probably vouch for this. I'm kind of a selfish person, so
What?
yeah, this is what I've been told. And in taking stock of like certain things, I found that over time I do a lot more talking than I do listening, and no one ever tells me to shut the fuck up. They just let me go. So over time, in having these interactions with people, I find that people just ask me a lot of questions, or they ask what I have to say, or they ask what I think, or they ask what I'm feeling. It's like having therapy with complete and total strangers. And as a result, I offer up my thoughts, and they're perfectly okay taking it. Not that I'm an expert in any sort of field. I have just figured out a way to bullshit myself into being in a position where my opinion somewhat matters. And as a result, this happens.
I'm very happy to hear you say that, because it makes me laugh, because the first couple of times I saw you, hey, I'm on Periscope, ask me anything. My first question was, what the hell are you doing on Periscope? What could I possibly ask you? What? Hi, how's the weather?
Because it's just weird. Like I don't know how it happened, and I'm not going to stop it at this point, because otherwise there won't be an episode 2 of this show. But what I started doing, as being part of the different websites, is I wanted people to. I didn't want people to feel detached from me in any way. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to feel like I was untouchable, even though I don't like when strangers touch me. But I wanted to feel like I was
Wait, that literally makes you untouchable. You are untouchable.
Okay.
If people come up and touch you, that's going to be an issue.
All right.
That is the literal definition of. I'm sorry. Go on.
Well, I meant more in this in in an internet way. I didn't.
You didn't want people to think that you were some upper echelon internet personality that could not be approached.
Yes. Okay. That's a better definition.
Were you born with this ego? Did you have to work at it? Oh, man.
It just happened. I don't know how it happened. So anyway, so the way that it was I started doing, you mentioned Periscope. We started doing hanging out on Periscope every once in a while, and mostly it was because my wife works overnights on the weekend, so I had like a lot of free time and like nothing to do. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just go hang out online and like see who wants to hang out with me. And apparently people do. Apparently there are other people who don't have other shit to do either. And we just want to all hang out, not even in the same place together, but just in the same general interweb location where it makes that possible. So
strange world we live in.
yeah, so we started doing it. So I started doing it on Periscope, and then we branched out. And we were also doing it on Facebook. So we were doing. I was opening it up just like a Q&A Facebook thread, where I was just like, just ask me whatever you want. Like, it doesn't even matter. Just ask me whatever it is that you want, and I will give you a genuine, honest, and truthful response to whatever it is that you answer, whatever it is that you ask me, whatever your inquiry is. I will answer it. And if you have a follow-up, I'll answer that too. Because, like, I got time. I got nothing to do. Like, I got time to kill. Like, let's hang out. Let's hang out and just shoot the shit. Like we do. You don't ask me questions.
Altruistic type thing you're trying to get across, and you're providing a service.
No, it's not that at all. It's just, it was literally just hanging out. And for anybody who was ever like, and for anybody who was ever just like, felt like they never got to know me or didn't have a sense of my personality or anything like that. It was just like, they'd read like opinion pieces I've written or commentaries or reviews or anything like that. They had my opinion on certain things, but like they may not have felt they knew who I was on a personal level. So in that way, I was like, well, let's put that out there and let me interact with the people so that they're not like, I never got a chance to talk to him, or I tried to talk to him like after a movie screening or out at an event or something like that, and like he was always busy, or I didn't get a chance to do that or whatnot, because I never.
Is that your experience a lot? Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, apparently it does. Like
the most ridiculous conversation we've ever had.
No, it's very true. Look, here's the deal. Like when over at This Is Infamous, for a long time, and even before that, like when I was at Unequal News, and before that when I was at InfamousKid.com. We'd always been involved in like local movie screenings, like giving away passes and giving away swag and introing the film and whatnot. And then a byproduct of that was helping to promote the site, whatever outlet that it was that I was a part of. Sure. So we always would tell people, like, after the movie, like, feel free to come out and hang out with us and like talk about the movie or discuss the movie, like whatever it was. To try and form some type of community, I guess. Just people standing around, like talking about movies, like bullshitting about whatever. So after these movies, after these screenings, we would always go and hang out, and like a handful of people would come and stay with us. Like other people would just kind of like leave. Just like, they came, they saw the movie, they were leaving, like they didn't want to fucking talk to anybody, like they just wanted to go back to their life. And so.
Which is perfectly acceptable.
No, which is perfectly fine, but like, but it's also cool to be able to share a thing with people. Like when you have like a passion for something or you really enjoy something, it's always cool to be able to hang out and just talk about that thing with other people who like said thing. Because when you're at home, like you may not be surrounded by people like that. Like look at us. Like I'm in Florida and you're in New York, and we have a very similar sensibility about the things that we like, the things that we don't like. We have a similar sense of humor, shit like that. And even and we have a connection that I don't know that I have with certain other people who may be local to me. So as a result, I embrace that type of connection because like we just kind of get each other. When you have that thing, like with other people, it's always cool to just like embrace it. That's how like those weird gaming stores like are open.
Sure, sure.
because they're just like, well, I need to.
But I mean, but there's a definite difference between, hey, let's start a community, let's have a large, a larger conversation about the things that we enjoy. It's a big difference between that and, hey, I am the center of the universe.
That was never it. It was just like we had a small group, like me and my staff and whoever was out there, and like we were gonna hang out and talk about the movie anyway. So like, come join us, like come be a part of that. Like, we're welcoming whoever wants to come here with open arms.
What you think, so come and tell us as well, and then we will tell you that you're wrong.
No. It was
that last part was a joke.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it was always like, just come chat with us, like come chat about movies with us, and it doesn't even have to be about the movie that we just saw. Sometimes it always spins off into other things, other things that are going on where people just feel like they want to talk about it. So what I found in other people talking about that was they felt that they couldn't come and talk to us sometimes, and I found that to be perfectly strange. Because we put it right out there that we were totally okay with just people coming up and hanging out.
You're encouraging it.
Yes, and for some reason,
they need permission.
Yeah, like we put the invitation out there, and yet people not intimidated, but there's always like this anxiety, I guess, with going out and just talking to new people or whatnot. So some of that, I guess, persisted in this. So from that, I was like, well, like I think that was part of where we started the Q&A threads. With that was to just put it out there and like let people interact, like in a way that was comfortable and easy to them. Like if you just sit on Facebook and you just type out whatever you want to talk about and ask, like we could do it, and then you might get my response back, and then I'll give you might have a response back, and now we have a dialogue, which is cool to share with other people. So. When we were launching Just the Worst podcast, my idea was to do like a Q&A podcast where we took it from the basements of Facebook and moved it to more this format where we could take a little bit more time with it, with some of the questions and whatnot, and on top of that, like because of our chemistry, I think we would have something interesting and entertaining to say about whatever people wanted to put at our doorstep to talk about. So that's how this came about.
That's really the coolest thing about this, because these conversations that we're going to have, unlike the conversations we used to have, which were fine, those conversations were you and I figuring out what the hell are we going to talk about this week. This is what people want to talk about.
Yeah.
This is what people are interested in.
Yeah,
this is what they're talking about already.
This is what is. Well, not even like some of it's random, like some of it like I put it out there and I said you can ask us whatever you want, and that's why this is an AMA podcast, is Ask Me Anything podcast, which comes like straight out of the Reddit community, where people go on there, they can ask them whatever they want, and they'll go through and they'll answer everything as best they can, or as many things as they possibly can in a time frame. It couldn't be the AU Ask Us Anything podcast because that just sounded fucking stupid. But AMA, everybody seems to kind of be hip to, so we rolled with that. And when we put it out there, it was like you can ask us anything you want. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be about movies, which is like at least my bread and butter. I know you know a good deal, but the other part of pop culture and kind of the geek community and those and comic books and all that stuff, like that's also your MO. So but I was like, it doesn't have to be that stuff. It could be anything that you want.
Sure,
it could be
music. Art.
Yeah, it could be anything. You could anything. You want to ask us about relationship advice? Like, well, we're not experts, but we'll do what we can. Hey, I have found that I'm pretty good at giving people advice about their relationships, not mine. So maybe
I'm not very good at following any of that advice.
Yeah, I'm not good at, so maybe I can help somebody out if they want to bring that to us. But yeah, so that was the cool part about this, is that we put it out there for people to ask us whatever it is that they wanted to ask us, and we would go through and pluck what we thought were the best, and weave that into the conversation, bring them up and have discussions, and answer whatever it is that they wanted to ask. So that is Just the Worst AMA podcast. That's the basis for that, and I think we got a good batch. to kind of kick things off. Yeah. So other than the fact that there's a cat in my house who I might strangle. I could hear him just like lurking around, and like is throwing my concentration off only because of the fact that I really hate cats. But nobody asked me that, but now you know. So if you had that question, what do you think of cats? Consider this a bonus answer.
Your answer would then be, I do not care for cats.
No, I really fucking hate them.
Conversely, if someone were to ask me, what do you think of dogs? I would say dogs are the friggin' coolest thing on the planet.
Yeah, dogs are the best.
I have 3 dogs. They are my best friends. They are awesome.
I can't even get one in this house. You know that? I can't even.
You got to get 3 because then they become a pack.
I can't even get one. I can't even get one, and I don't even. And I just want like a little. I just want like a little one.
I have 2 Boston Terriers and a Cairn Terrier.
I just want a little one, and like I can't even get that. Like, I'm the one who wants the dog, and I'm like, I want a little one. And they're like, no, that's not a real dog.
So you would be okay with a real dog? That would be an acceptable solution?
I don't
get like a pit bull?
I don't want a big, like, I don't want like
you
a
don't
big
want
dog.
that. So
no.
even if it was like, yeah, we can get a big dog, you're like, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
You want like a teacup poodle.
No, I don't want that. First of all, I don't want to poodle anything. In a teacups, I'm not the fans of.
What do you want, like a Yorkshire Terrier? What kind
those
of
are
dog?
cool.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
I grew up with like a mini Schnauzer, and those are
Cool.
Yeah. See, so I just want something like small. I want something that like if it's doing something that it's not supposed to, I can just like pick it up and be like, don't fucking do that. As opposed to like something where I'm like, don't do that, and then like it mauls me, and then I'm dead.
Oh, see, if you're gonna have dogs, man, it doesn't matter how big they are. You have to be in charge.
I know, so I don't want it to be big because like
how big they are, you gotta be. It doesn't matter. You still gotta be the one. They gotta understand no means no.
I know, but it's so much easier to do that with something that you trump in size.
True enough. So you're like a dog bully.
Yeah, that's fine by me. That's fine by me. I don't want one where I'm like, don't do that, and the dog's like, woof, 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 fuck you. And then I'm like,
you're not interested in any challenging pets. You just want a small dog that isn't a cat.
Yeah, like a good, I want like a cat-sized dog, like a nice.
You want a cat dog?
Yeah, which is fine. Just a nice little companion that like will just hang out next to me, like when I watch TV and shit, or just lay by my feet. I don't want anything. Plus, the big ones are.
The children are against it.
Yeah. What? Say that?
Your wife and the children, they're against it.
No, the kids would probably be all for it. The wife is against it.
That's a wife. You need relationship.
Yeah, the wife is against it, and the weird part and the worst part about it is like these 2 cats are fucking hers.
See,
so like I inherited them.
You married a cat person.
Yeah.
That's
But she likes dogs, except she doesn't want a tiny one.
But she doesn't want.
No, if we were gonna get one, she would want a big one, which I don't want.
Well, why would she want a big one? Does she have dog experience?
I don't know. Like I like the small ones, dude. Like the big ones are they're so fucking goofy. Like they usually like and look.
No big. Well, you're talking like a Saint Bernard. You don't.
No. Just I find like the bigger ones don't understand their own size sometimes.
True enough.
So like they're just so like goofy.
They can be a little on the side of destructive just accidentally.
Yeah, they're just so gangly and like, and I'm just like, I don't want a little one.
Yeah, you got to get yourself a smart Boston Terrier. You know what you do? Get a medium-sized Boston Terrier. It's kind of like a big dog, but it's a little dog. I think she would go for that. I'll talk to her.
All right, like a medium. All right.
I'll start sending her pictures of dogs.
Well, you first of all clear it with me first. I don't want to feel like the snow pile on me of like a dog where I'm just like, fucking McKevitt, why did he throw this dog out here? What a dick.
She comes home with a dog, and you're like, oh fuck, that's not what I wanted.
That's not what I wanted.
What's the matter with you, man? You ruined everything. Now I got 2 cats. And
and a dog I didn't want. And there's that, and then like she's big on like the rescue dogs, which are fine. Like it's a noble cause.
It's fine,
but
I've rescued many dogs from pet stores.
Yeah, but those are the worst places.
But they're already there.
Yeah,
they're already
I know.
Alive. It's not like I ordered one.
I know. But
what am I gonna do? I'm walking by. He's looking at me. He's like, "Yo, get me out of here." I'm like, "All right, I'll do it."
But that's what I have. Like I have 2 cats, and the one was I think like a stray that like they took in, like her and her friend like a while back, and like this cat has like serious psychological damage. Like scaredy cat like doesn't even begin to describe how afraid this cat is of everything. And I'm like,
fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. So like it's like I'm wary of like a rescue dog because I'm like, I don't know what happened to this dog and like when I wasn't around.
Well,
and like I can't.
I'm going to say something that's going to come off as controversial, and if anybody listens to this show,
Oh,
this is
whatever.
definitely not the way to start off this kind of
That
thing.
doesn't matter.
This
This is why it's authentic.
A rescue cat, right, who's got psychological problems, maybe pees in your bed. A rescue dog with psychological problems kills you in your sleep. You know, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's possible.
That's just my personal experience. I've never been killed by a rescue dog, clearly, but it's just I have had I don't know. I've had very good experiences with the dogs that I went and accidentally found. Because I didn't go out shopping for them. You know, you're someplace where there's puppies, and you're like, oh, puppies, and you end up spending a lot of money.
I guess. So like,
experience.
yeah. So that's
From
like
my
the
listening
issue
there.
with that is like and once again, like I said, rescue dogs, noble cause. I just found that like in looking through the rescue dog logs, no dogs that I really want.
But for you, it's like an aesthetic thing. You're looking at that dog, and you're like, no.
No, yeah, and like no. Yeah,
I need a dog I can take to screenings, and it'll make people want to have conversations after movies.
yeah, something like that.
You're looking for social dogs.
Yeah, something like that. I don't want one that like I got to put on the couch and like figure out like what's wrong with you, dog. You know, and like study like deep pet psychology. All right, so
Which is good, because that shit's expensive.
yeah, and either way, their answer is like always the same. It's just like I'm like, oh, he's gonna go out. So I don't even know how we got off of this tangent, but whatever. Okay, let's get into the questions. These are the questions that were submitted to us. These were done via Facebook. So usually there's going to be different ways that you can submit questions through us throughout the week, and we'll be able to track them. So if you want to tweet at us, you can tweet at JTW Podcast and just use hashtag AMA, and we'll be able to track that down every week. So if you want to tweet a question at us, you can tweet a question at us. If you want to hit us up on Facebook, you can do that as well, and do that via facebook.com/justtheworstpodcast. And then you can also email us as well, justtheworstpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, so that's the way you're going to be able to submit questions to us in the future. We'll take one, we'll take all. Just submit questions, because otherwise we have nothing to talk about. And
the possibility exists that if these questions actually are something that are something that maybe would warrant a larger discussion, we may even ask you to be on the show with us.
let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Just hold me back.
But there is so these are all the questions that are out there, and those are the ways you can submit them to us. And here's the one rule though we have: one question per person per week, because it's not all about you.
That's right. It's all about Billy.
Yeah,
Not all about
and you. No, but we have lots of questions that people are gonna
limiting people.
Well, no, but
one question.
Well, I don't want people to like send in like 5 questions and they're like bogarting the whole discussion, because other people should have a chance at having their question be part of the
We still get
podcast.
to choose the questions, don't we?
We do,
So what
but
if they've got 3 questions,
just-
and one of them's lame and 2 of them are good?
take your best shot.
Send as many questions as you want. It's not like you're going to get penalized. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, all right. Let's jump right in. Let's get to the first question, and let's see where this takes us.
Like we're going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh crap, there's 9,000 questions.
You who knows? Who knows? That's how the internet works, man. Everything goes viral with the quickness. Brian McKevitt has the questions. I have the questions as well. These are not in any type of order as I pass them along to you, Brian. So I'm just gonna pluck some out, and we'll see where the discussion takes us. So I guess we'll start with the first one though that I do have listed, and this one comes in from Christian Atkins, who wants to know, why won't this found footage reality horror phase die? Aside from motion sickness I get, which prevents me from enjoying even the good ones, I would have thought the novelty would have worn off after the first couple paranormals.
I have the best answer for this. You know why it won't die? Because it's cheap and people keep going to see them.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it.
That's it. It costs them nothing to make these movies, and every single one of them succeeds. And even when they don't succeed, so what? It cost us $20.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, like, here's the thing that typically winds up being the answer to every question that is ever asked, especially about movies, as far as why do they make this? You know, and this is about reboots, this is about remakes, sequels. It's always, why are they doing this? And the answer is always money. Like you have to remember, like, this isn't show artistry. This is show business.
That's right. It's the movie business, not the movie art house.
Yeah. So while there is, I believe, okay, given the benefit of the doubt, an honest attempt to make good films regularly, they also want to make successful films regularly. And they will take a successful film that is shit over a good movie that doesn't make anything 9 times out of 10.
9.5 times.
Yeah, probably. So
every single time.
Yeah, so when it comes to these, like, here's the deal. So you're primarily talking about films in the horror genre, okay, which already are typically on the lower end budgetarily to make. And on top of that, there is a specific community that usually comes out for these. So these aren't movies that are going to make $1 billion, but they're movies that you can make relatively cheap enough, and if the public rallies around it, you're going to turn a pretty significant profit as a movie studio. So when it comes to these, like, the way that horror works is horror winds up being very cyclical. You know, so nobody ever winds up being the first one to do something until they're the first one to do something. And then if that's successful, everybody figures out how the fuck they can jump on that bandwagon and copy it as best as they possibly can to find similar success. You know, in the 80s, a lot of slasher films that were in a lot of attempts to try and build new icons too, if we remember. You know, like, you have kind of the upper echelon of horror icons. Your Freddy, your Jason, your Michael Myers, your Leatherface. You can even throw, like, Pinhead in there. Michael Myers, I already said, right? I did get that one. Yep. And then you start to have, like, these lower attempts to try and capitalize on that. So you have, like, Chucky, Candyman, the Leprechaun, like, all these things that were trying to build upon franchises. And after a while, like, that kind of tired out. And then the 90s came, and you had slasher movies again, but of a different sort. So Scream hit, and everybody was now trying to figure out how to do teen slasher films in the genre. So you had, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend and all these films that were not nearly as good as the Genuine Article, but were still pulling in some business nonetheless. Now you start to move forward, and, you know, like, what's hot now, like possession and exorcism movies. Like, everybody wants to make possession and exorcism. There are so many fucking possession and exorcism movies that, like, you have trouble telling them apart because they all do the same thing. But there was a possession and exorcism movie that started it, and everybody wants to hop on the trend. So, you know, with the found footage films, Blair Witch did it first. And then nobody really did it after that up until Paranormal hit. Because I don't think they, like, the Blair Witch was such a unique thing because of how it was marketed. So nobody really looked at it as, like, the format is what's doing it. They thought the marketing is ultimately what sold it. Paranormal, the format helped it. The found footage helped it. And then everybody tried to do it because, once again, it's cheap. You can shoot the shit out of it. Like you can go and shoot a ton, and then craft from that what you think works, and then if it doesn't quite work the way that the film should gel together, you just go back and shoot more. Like you just shoot a ton, and then you keep going and crafting it, and that's how you do it. So
And the nice thing about it is that not the nice thing, but the thing about it is that it's supposed to look cheap. It's supposed to look like somebody shot it on an iPhone, or they shot it with a camcorder, and so you can just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and then just take the spooky parts, add a soundtrack, and boom, $20 million.
see the thing that, and look, I don't hate the found footage. I know there are people who just hate them, like they just hate them on principle. Like you find a movie is like a found footage movie, and they're like, I'm not going to fucking see it. And I think within the conceit, it works on whether or not it's just a good story to be told. Like what I found a lot of times with the found footage is that they became problematic for them to keep shooting. Like you would be in a predicament and you'd be like, why is this person still
Why are
shooting?
they still pointing at the camera? Why aren't they running like hell?
Exactly. And that's one of the bigger issues that you wind up running in, is because now your suspension of disbelief becomes a little bit grayer, a little bit blurrier, a little bit harder to swallow, because once again you're like, why are they still shooting this thing? And look, there's a ton of, I think, really good ones. Chronicle is a good found footage film. I love the Paranormal series. Cloverfield is an excellent example. Once again, for every, 3 I just named that are really good, there's a ton that aren't. But the only way to stop them is to not, if you don't see them, it'll die out. But because we're also in this spell where, anyone can make a movie, this is the way for anybody to make a movie.
Anyone can make a movie, and this is the easiest way.
Yeah. So the money,
The answer.
the money is it. That's really what it comes down to. And where they're starting to move, the Paranormal film, this is going to be the last one. And you're starting to see a shift away from it, I think, because it became a thing that everybody tried to do. And, that's the way Hollywood works. They go hard or they go home. So, they go hard and they burn everybody out on something.
They bang that far into the ground, and now the next big thing will be the lost footage movie, where you go and there's credits and then nothing.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that movie? It was lost.
Yeah, I don't know where it went. The reels are missing. But that's what they do. I mean, they did it to 3D. They haven't done it to IMAX yet, but I think that's because they made IMAX more of an experience than what feels like a gimmick. So but yeah, I mean, money is it. That's the crux of your answer. So Christian, thanks for the question coming in the future. By all means, send us some more.
Christian had the first question ever.
He's historic. He will go down in history forever.
You rock, brother.
Yeah.
What's next?
Let's shift over to let's talk TV, because Roberto Suarez wants to ask us about TV. And he said, I think Mr. Robot is one of the best TV shows to come out this year. Have you had a chance to watch it? Would love to hear your take on it. Also, are there any TV shows you're currently watching that you'd recommend? Have you seen Mr. Robot?
I have seen many promos for it,
But you haven't
I
watched the
know
show.
that it's something that I want to see, but
Yeah.
I have not yet actually watched it.
See, here's the thing, asking me about what TV I watch is a tough thing, because I don't really watch a lot of TV. Not because I don't want to, I just found that I had less time to watch it.
That's the thing, right? There's so much television
Yeah.
right now that it's overwhelming.
And the only way to really catch up on it is to then binge. And it's tough for me to do because I have 2 kids, and I spend time with my wife, and sometimes I just want to just sit and just chill and not watch anything. And to watch a show, it's such a commitment to make, even a binge. Mr. Robot, I think, is only 10 episodes, but that's still 10 hours.
Yeah.
So that's at least 2.5 nights I gotta commit to just watching it straight. So like I got to make sure my calendar is clear. Like I got to figure out the right time because like you don't want to like watch like one night of like 4 episodes, and then like you get really into it, and then like you can't watch it until like Thursday, and you're like, oh god damn it, why can't I watch? And now it's driving you just fucking nuts.
Yeah,
So like,
it's not quite that involved for me.
all right.
But I do watch. There are some things that I watch. Like I haven't watched that yet, but eventually I'll get there. You know,
It is on my queue, but then again, like I also haven't seen Daredevil yet, so
really,
yeah, I just haven't had the time.
Daredevil's really good.
I know, and like it's there, like it sits there, and, like stares me in the face, but I haven't had the time.
Right?
Yeah, I just haven't had the time to watch. I still haven't watched season 3 of House of Cards. Like it's
Yeah,
just
not as good as.
But either way, it's just sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I want to watch it, but like it's 13 hours.
I mean, there are shows that I watch religiously. The Walking Dead is one of those shows, just because I watch it with my wife and my daughter, and it's like a family thing, right? Isn't that wholesome?
Hey, let's all get together around the campfire and watch what the zombie apocalypse might be like, and take lessons, everyone.
Exactly. And we watched the new one, The Fear the Walking Dead, which is really slow and okay, but you know we've got a lot of goodwill for the other one, so we keep watching this one and see where it goes.
See, that was the hook right there.
Yeah, that's it. A big fan of The Last Ship. That was I really enjoyed that show.
Was that the Michael Bay one?
I don't know if it's
Wasn't Michael Bay involved with that one?
I'm honestly not sure. It's got the guy who was on Grey's Anatomy as the captain of this
Navy
ship.
Which one?
McDreamy, not No, wait a minute. Which one was the one who died in the plane crash?
I gave up watching Grey's Anatomy with my wife like a long time ago. Oh, I know which one the guy you're talking about. He's a muscular guy.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Now he's the Navy.
I believe he's married to the former Noxzema girl, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, I know who you're talking
I
about.
have no idea why I know that.
I just because it's one of those random pop culture things that just somehow gets in your head and never escapes.
Well, essentially what the show is the guy's a Navy captain. He's out at sea, and there's this horrible illness that breaks out and kills 3/4 of the population of the world. And he is literally the last ship, and they try to find a cure and bring it to the people and save them. It's really very well done. I really did enjoy it.
So really what you're telling me is like you will only watch shows where like most of the population is dead.
That does seem to be a theme with
Yeah, it's a very post-apocalyptic theme that you only will chase.
Very much, which is not really very happy either.
See,
And
like
Robot Chicken. I also enjoy Robot Chicken.
I just found that there's a couple that I watch like like Game of Thrones I watch regularly, and I get into Ballers on HBO. Like if it's on HBO, first of all, like I'll give it a fair shot. I just find that they're one of the best, and I was and then of course there were the older ones that are all over now. So like Mad Men and Breaking Bad and whatnot. I mean those were all fantastic shows. Then what else is there? Empire is the only show I really got into as of late that I just watched like religiously, like week in and week out, and it's kind of because it's exactly like Game of Thrones, just in the hip hop industry. But really well done and really good stories. So Empire was the one I got into. Going back to HBO, I'm looking forward to The Leftovers season 2 because I really enjoyed the first one. You would like it because like they just kill off like a large chunk of the population. They just disappear. So you'd be like, oh, this is right up my alley. What the hell happened? What the hell happened? And that's really about it. Like, like I watched John Oliver on Sunday night. I watched Bill Maher and whatnot. And other than that, like I didn't really get into a lot because once again, like there is so much TV. And what I found was that I was just DVRing things.
And then not watching them?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I want to see this. And then I'd DVR it. And then I'd get to the point where it was like 5 or 6 episodes behind. And then I was just like, well, that seems overwhelming.
You just start running out of DVR space, so you start just erasing these.
Yeah, I just gave up. Like I was just like, I don't know that I'm ever gonna. It's like I don't know when I'm gonna have time to sit and watch 6 episodes of The Flash. So
that's one of them that everybody I bump into is like, oh my god, do you watch The Flash? And I'm like, no. And they're like, how do you not watch The Flash?
I heard it was pretty good.
I could care less.
I actually heard it was pretty good.
It's great. I hear it's fantastic. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't care.
I will toss a peek over to Heroes Reborn, just because I like the first season of Heroes.
Actually, it's funny. I'm actually down in my basement. I'm looking up at my shelf, and I have the first season of Heroes, and I do not have the second season of Heroes.
Nobody. And the first season, it's a really good hook. Like, it's an excellent season. But like, there's so much TV that's coming on that like it looks cool and I'm interested in it, but like I just don't know that I can commit to that much. So you have like things like, Supergirl coming on TV, and what's the one from the Arrow spinoff, Legends of Tomorrow, I think, on CW, and
like Justice League Light or something.
Yeah, and I might toss a peek over at the Muppets to see how that shakes out.
Looking, right?
Yeah, the way my wife actually described to me the other day catching a TV spot, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of like The Office, I think. Exactly. She's like, and she goes, yeah, but it's not for people that should be watching the Muppets. She's like, it's for people who grew up on the Muppets and would watch them now. But like, if you were to put the Muppets on TV, the demographic that you would probably think would watch the Muppets, like, this show is clearly not for them.
Yeah, no, it's not, and that's on purpose, and that's fine. It's just interesting.
I don't know that anyone wanted to see a mature Muppets show.
Well, we're gonna know in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll find out. So,
I'll probably catch. You know what? I'll probably catch a scene of it on Facebook or on YouTube here and there.
And that'll be
It's not anything I'm going to go out of my way to find.
I will probably watch like the first one and then I'll just forget that it's on.
Yeah, probably. Oh, you know what's really good? What I really have been enjoying? I've been catching them on demand. The Jim Gaffigan show is very funny.
Is it?
I like it. I really
See,
like it.
I used to be a fan of his, and then when Craig Ferguson left the Late Late Show, and they just did like a whole week. No, not a whole week. They did like the whole time between him and James Corden was just like guest hosts.
Right.
And Gaffigan guest hosts for like a whole week. And it was like the most uncomfortable week of just self-promotion and plugging.
Really?
That like it really kind of soured me on him.
Do it. That's not really his gig. He's not a talk show.
Yeah, but it was like him, and then like his co-host was his wife, and then like his kids were all on it too, and like it just felt really uncomfortable to like see somebody trot their whole family, like for the purpose of my entertainment, when really it felt like something that should have stayed in their house. Like if it was like a rainy Saturday, and they were like, "Let's play late talk show," and they did that.
The show on TV Land is not a talk show, and it's actually pretty funny.
Well, good luck with you on that one. I mean,
it's not about you.
No, I know. Oh, hey, it's each their own. Whatever you like, you like. I'm all for that. So yeah, I mean, like there is a lot of TV. Mr. Robot's one I would like to catch. It is on my list of other things that I also would like to catch. But also at the same time, like don't recommend a lot of TV to me because I don't have enough time to watch the things I want to watch. To catch up on the things that you think I might enjoy. Because like I know people have been trying to get me to watch like Doctor Who and stuff forever, and I'm like, that's never gonna happen.
I can never watch more than 3 episodes of Doctor Who.
I just can't. Not that I don't want to.
I see why people like it. I see why it's successful. It's well made. It's intelligent. It's often very funny. But 3 is enough for me, and then 2 months go by, and I can see another one or not see another one.
One day I might watch Firefly.
It was a good show. It wasn't I don't think it was as good as everybody makes it out to be, but it was entertaining.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that like it's there, and people are like, "Oh my god, you haven't seen it?" I'm like, "No." And then like I tried to watch it like twice, and by tried to watch it, I mean like I brought it up in my Netflix queue. It was ready to go. And I was like, but what about something else?
Well, the problem with Firefly now is, I mean, if you never heard about it and you bumped into it, you would really like it. But it's been turned into this like mythic thing that it can't possibly live up to its own.
Oh, but I'm not.
its own
I
reputation.
I don't buy into those hype. I just wanted to
Yeah,
see
but
what it
even
was.
still, I mean, you wouldn't even be looking for it if everybody wasn't talking about it, and then you're like, yeah, what the hell is that?
Yeah, something like that, I guess. So yeah, so that's our TV watching habits. So so thank you.
Sad as they are.
Yeah, thank you, Roberto Suarez, for submitting that one. And Empire and the Leftovers. Those are my recommendations to check out if you haven't yet. All right, let's get deep here.
Oh, I'm scared. What's next?
This is actually a pretty good one. This is from Quinn O'Brien, and Quinn asked,
Conan O'Brien asked us a question.
"Yeah, no, not Conan O'Brien, Quinn O'Brien,
Oh, sorry.
Quinn. We're not that high up on the
I was gonna say,
on the food
wow.
chain yet."
This show's taking off.
No, Quinn O'Brien asked, "Why are book nerds still the lowest on the totem pole? Must we wait for our favorites to be made into movies before we're allowed to be a legit fandom?"
What does that mean? What is a legit fandom?
See,
mean?
I read this and I was able to churn up sort of a response to this based off of what I think the question is asking, which is basically like book nerds are like a seen but not heard fandom. Like nobody, like there's, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like movie geeks, or it's not like
it's not. You know, it's not. They don't have a show like The Big Bang Theory about books.
well, the Big Bang Theory shouldn't exist anyway. But anyway, look, you know, I have two thoughts on this. Number one, America doesn't read, so you have book clubs, but it's different. It's to have like a hardcore book nerd fandom. Just seems like a weird thing, but it also deals with the medium. You know, when a movie comes out, okay, everybody flocks to like the opening weekend, right? It becomes like this phenomena, right? That everybody wants to take part in that, and everybody wants to take part in the community, and it becomes a very communal experience. You know, the same thing happens with like a TV show. You know, when you watch like Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead, like people are talking about it immediately. Talking about it that night, talking about it the next day, they're talking about it, you know, throughout the week until the next episode. Like it becomes a thing. Books are a very personal kind of thing. Like you don't sit with other people and read and talk about books, because like everybody kind of moves at their own pace. It's not so in that way, like it's a very individual experience until you're done. And then, like, you have to wait for other people to be done
Before you can have that conversation.
Yeah, to talk about it.
But what's interesting is I think that this question, I think that there very much is a very active and very loud book crowd, for lack of a better, for lack of a more intelligent word for it, I guess. I mean, think about Game of Thrones. Think about, there's almost like battles between the people who watch the show and the people who read the books. You know?
Yeah, but the thing about but remember, when Game of Thrones has been around for a really long time now. And the thing about it is, like, there are always people who are joining it. And that's the other part about, I think about the books is, like, it's not an immediate thing. You know, like when those things happen, it's not immediate. There's more legs to it. Like it's a more longer developing community. And that's why the fandom, I think, is not strange, but just it's different than anything else.
What kind of fandom I'm sorry, what's his name? Quinn?
Yeah. Her.
What
It's a
kind of
her. It's a her.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Quinn. I apologize. I wonder why, first of all, you feel like you need to have it legitimized. And number two, what exactly are you looking for? Because there are the same company that does Comic-Con started something called BookCon, where they have a convention of authors and readers and bring them all together, and it's this gigantic thing in Manhattan. There's also I live in in New York, we have actually coincidentally tomorrow is the Brooklyn Book Fest, which is like 3 square miles of Brooklyn. It's just huge festival, and it's just a celebration of reading and authors and bringing all these people together who do read. It's not something that's as easily palatable or digestible as a 2-hour movie. It's a time commitment.
Yeah.
It's a solitary time commitment. It's not like, hey Billy, come on over Friday, we'll read.
No.
You know, it just doesn't happen like that. You know, even comic books. I mean, like you could get together, you know, with a friend with comic books, and it's more of a social thing because number one, you read the thing in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's very short.
You know, and now you're both on the same page. Boom, literally. You know, and you can actually share it. You can point to something artistically and say, look at this panel, look at this picture, look at the way this artist did this. You know, but with a book, it's, you know, you could still do that, but it's a much larger investment of time, of thought, of everything that it takes to devour that media.
It's just the other aspect is too, like, typically the way that book fandoms accumulate or develop is through word of mouth. You know, it is very book phenomenons happen, but they happen through word of mouth. You know, they spread over time. So they go, oh, I read this, you should read it. And then that person may read it, and if they like it, they'll pass it along. Like, that's how 50 Shades of Grey became a thing. You know, but that's how that, like, when 50 Shades of Grey first dropped, like, people weren't, like, rushing the bookstore immediately to get their hands on the copy.
No, when word got out and it got popular, then they certainly were.
Yeah, but once again, but it was also still, like, it was once again still a thing of somebody told you about it, and that's where you went. Like, it wasn't just like 50 Shades of Grey came out, and then, like, everybody's like, oh my god, and then they rushed to get it. Like, they had to be told, like, oh, you should check this out, or oh, here, borrow my copy, like, and read it. Like, that's how that was. Movies don't work like there is word of mouth, but movies and TV have become these big things that you kind of just, sometimes you jump in it yourself. You know, like, for example,
but
okay.
Usually it's because they themselves have drilled it into your head.
Yeah, they've marketed it to you.
Many times. You saw the promo for the Jim Gaffigan show every night for a month.
Yeah. With books, the last time I remember, like, a huge deal about a book was a Potter, probably.
Sure, yeah.
And I remember rushing out to get my wife a copy of Deathly Hallows Part 2, or not Deathly Hallows, period, for, like, one of those midnight launches.
Man,
and,
you
like,
just pissed off all the Harry Potter books.
yes,
fans.
yes, yeah, because I went right to the movie. Because I went right to the movie. Sorry, but all I remember was, like, the finale. So, but yeah, to get a copy of Deathly Hallows, and, like, there were these big midnight events because that was it. Like, it was the last thing.
Unusual for a book. I went to one of them. I brought my daughter to one, and it was very.
It was very unusual because they don't have those things typically. Like, even
Midnight movies is every Thursday. You know, I mean, that's, you know, the new Avengers, a new this, a new that, a new thing that's premiering at midnight is all the time. That kind of rabid. I need to have it right now. I can't even wait till you open tomorrow.
yeah.
So yeah, that doesn't really exist with books.
Yeah, well, because once you see a TV show is done in an hour, a
Yeah.
movie's done in 2. So once that's done, like, you're in it.
Right.
A book, that may take you a whole weekend.
I mean, I'm a reader. I really am. I read a lot, and I understand, I guess, a little bit about what she's saying. But I think that what's important to keep in mind, and what is almost a point of pride for us reader nerds, is that without us, without the books that we're reading, most of the good stuff wouldn't exist. And when they do the good stuff badly, like I think Game of Thrones is fantastic, but I haven't read the books, and I know a lot of people who have read them, and say that the books are so much better.
Well, the books
and
are
that
always so
the
much
TV
better.
show ruined the book, and that always makes me laugh because I'm like, no, the TV show didn't touch the book.
It's totally
the book's
different.
exactly the same as it was.
Yeah, it's totally different. The book is untainted. Like, you can always go back to the book.
Always go back.
Yeah, you can always have your own thing. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, look, without a lot of these properties being adapted, like, you wouldn't have a lot of these things. But remember, like, there's also, you know, far more books that are published in a year than there are films made.
Sure.
So, and everybody has their own thing. So it's very rare for there to be, this major book thing, because even the ones that are major, even if you take something like Gone Girl, which I wouldn't really call like a phenomenon, it was just a well received book.
It's a bestseller.
Yeah,
It's a very successful book.
but cut through with far less exposure than Gone Girl once Ben Affleck is involved with it.
Sure.
So I think part of it has to do with how we consume our media. Part of it has to do with the difference in the experience. There are once again book fandoms. You mentioned the one up in Brooklyn. I know there's one down here. The Miami Book Fair is a big thing where people come down and hawk their wares. And people get to meet authors and get signings and pick up all kinds of things that they're interested in reading. But beyond that, I think it has to do with also like people aren't readers by and large, sadly. But that's why I don't think
that's kind of a rash generalization. I think it's closer to the truth to say there are not nearly as many readers as there are.
People don't read enough.
Of movies.
People don't read books enough. Not like they used to.
Well, now you're quantifying it. Now you're saying it's something that's broken and needs to be fixed.
I don't think that
you could say people don't read. Period.
I don't think it's that it needs to be fixed. I think it's that given the option of reading a book or watching a TV show / seeing a movie, they would opt for the latter.
However, there is a movie coming out that looks very interesting to me. I think it's something I would enjoy. And my immediate reaction was to find out that it was a book and then go get the book. And I'm reading the book now.
Which one is this?
It's The Martian.
Okay.
I saw the trailer for it and I was like, wow, that looks like a movie I would love. And then, somebody said, well, that's a book. Have you read it? And I was like, are you kidding me? Really? So I went out and actively found it, and it's fantastic. It is a great book. I'm loving it.
See, I won't, if I know I'm going to see it and it's like right on the horizon, I won't read it until like after.
See, you're making a choice there.
Yeah, I am making a choice. But it's if
I'm right or you're wrong.
No. It's not at all. Everybody has their own process. I just found that once I read the book, going to see the movie, I just found myself comparing it back to the book.
Okay, and that's fine because you're looking for and that's a very good point as well, because your first interaction with something sets your expectation and sets your experience with that thing, right? I've joked around a lot in the past. It's actually not even a joke. It's true. But it's just funny that I enjoy movie adaptions, but I like to read movie adaptions after I've seen the movie. You know what I mean? However, movies that are based on books, I prefer to read the book first. You can't go back and read The Godfather after you've seen Brando. You just can't.
No, not without visualizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just changes it. But you can read a novelization of Alien that builds on characters that you really did like and makes it a deeper, thicker, richer world. That doesn't change that. However, something like The Martian, because it exists first as a book, I kind of want that experience to come from there. And that's just me,
Yeah.
I imagine Quinn is probably the same way.
Everybody's
and
different.
I don't think that makes our fandoms any weaker or any different. I just think that it's just another way to enjoy this stuff that people enjoy. I don't feel a pressure that that the stuff that I like to read is not as popular as video games or.
No, it's just a different experience.
Yeah.
It's
found a way to get $50 out of my pocket to walk into the Javits Convention Center.
Yeah, it's just a different experience because of how you consume it, and once again, like you wouldn't go into like a theater where like everybody just sits there and reads the book.
True enough.
There's that part of it, and plus it's not as glamorized. Going out to the movies or watching a show, it becomes like a big deal. Reading the book, I don't know that it's the big deal because I think you have a far less chance of someone like spoiling that thing for you that you might not have known it even existed. as opposed to like a movie where like it becomes like, oh, I gotta see it right away with all these other people who have to see it right away. Whereas books, you're like, this isn't going anywhere. They might not adapt it for like another 5 years, so I'll be okay. So yeah, so don't feel your book nerddom is slighted. It's out there. You just gotta find other book nerds and rise up.
When we're out there, we're a bunch of nerds. We don't need no movie.
Yeah,
no
just
movie
rise
crap.
up and listen. There was a long time where like video games and comic books and superheroes and all that shit was not mainstream. It just takes something to make it happen.
Yeah, and a lot of the people who were there when it wasn't mainstream are the people now going, oh, I can't believe what happened. All this crap.
Yeah.
This used to be ours.
And for the record, before we move on, there was a huge book fandom out there that you're not acknowledging, that actually takes book fandom to an extremely high level and probably puts it on par with movies and television. You look at those fucking Scientologists, man. They are loyal to those books.
Whoa. Quinn, this took a weird turn. Thanks for writing.
I mean, they are like, if L. Ron Hubbard wrote it, fucking Dianetics, they're buying it up. Just buying it up.
I don't think Dianetics was quite the fandom she's talking about.
Whatever, man. You want to talk? Hey, don't fucking judge.
I'm not saying.
Don't judge. You're like one of those people that are like,
You know
ew,
what? I
Twilight.
haven't judged.
Even though those people are out there like camping out like fucking crazy hours. See? I got your back, Scientologist. Not all the time. On this one, I'll get you. Just on
I
this.
just want to point out again,
Yeah.
Quinn, I went with you. You ran straight to the
Yeah,
Scientologist.
just well, at least I know they're not going to be following me from now till whenever. All right, let's move on. Mark Bass has a question, wanting to know about sequels. He said, with talk that Fantastic Four may get a sequel, is there a movie out there that you wish had gotten a sequel to continue its story? I always wanted a sequel to Unbreakable. Is there any unmade sequel that you wish would have happened, McKevitt?
Ishtar.
That's not even funny.
Not even a joke. Really enjoyed that movie. Liked those characters. Wanted more of that music.
Are you serious?
I liked Ishtar. I thought it was funny. I like Dustin Hoffman in those roles.
You're like the only person that would ever say it.
I'm one of the only people who liked that movie
That,
ever.
that is why that sequel never got made.
That's why.
Because it would have been for the audience of one.
And
Table
I'll be honest
for
with you,
one,
I was
Ishtar
thinking about
2.
other movies. I can't think of another movie that I would want a sequel to that they didn't make a sequel to.
I got one. I actually tweeted about it the other day, too. I wish that there was an Undercover Brother, too.
That was almost as bad as my Ishtar joke.
No.
Are you serious?
Have you seen Undercover Brother, man?
Is that Tim? Who is that?
That is, no, it's, oh, Jesus, why is his name now escape me? Eddie Griffin. That's it.
Oh, all right.
Eddie Griffin as Undercover Brother is like one of the best acceptable racist satire movies I've ever seen. Like, you want to watch a movie that, like, when it's done, you like look at the people around you and you're like, that was pretty racist, but incredibly funny. It's that kind of movie.
That's funny. See, I'm not a big fan of comedy sequels, except for Ishtar.
I think the thing about Undercover Brother is like you couldn't do it again, exactly. You know, like it couldn't be like The Hangover 2, where like they were just like, well, we'll just do The Hangover 1 again,
Right.
just in a different
Beverly Hills
place.
Cop 2, which is the same movie.
Yeah, like we'll just do
Or,
the exact.
Ghostbusters 2, which is the exact same movie.
Yeah, only less.
Right.
Yeah, Undercover Brother is like a spy movie, so like you would still do spy something. You would just have to come up with all new gags for it.
Oh, all right then.
But Undercover Brother, I think, is highly underrated, and I love that movie, and I wish it would have become something bigger, because really hilarious comedy, I think, is hard to come by.
For a long time, I pined for a sequel to The Incredibles, and now we're
Well, you're
actually
gonna get
getting
that.
one. So
You're
that
gonna get that.
would have been my answer if they weren't actually making The Incredibles 2.
Right.
The Incredibles, in my opinion, the finest Fantastic Four movie ever made.
Well, yeah, that's
Bar
true.
none.
Although I would see Fantastic Four too. Even after Fantastic Four, I would still see
I
Fantastic
didn't
Four.
think Fantastic Four was terrible. I
No,
thought it had a
it's-
very weak ending, but I really
it's-
liked the approach.
Yeah, it's not a disaster, but it's also not good. Like there's stuff
You feel
there.
like it's missing. Something's missing.
Yeah, there's
Like,
stuff
something's
there that you
good
could
in
do
it.
something with. It's just
I liked the characters. I thought they were very. I thought they all were very well played. It just felt like there was an act missing in there, and it ended way too quickly.
well, it felt like we just watched. Like felt like it ended where the movie should have actually began.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
If it was a TV thing, that would have been a weak pilot of a good show.
Yeah,
You know.
I would have never tuned in though. Again, I would have been like, I'm.
Yeah, well,
It would have been like watching Gotham all over again.
Gotham.
Like I just watched the first one and I was like, nah, I'm not coming back.
Oh, Shameless! Holy shit! I'm sorry, Shameless. Watch Shameless. That show's amazing. Forgot all
He's
about
going,
that show. And I
he's going
just-
all the way back.
The kid from Shameless is actually playing the Joker in Gotham, and I have zero interest in it.
I'm not
It's
watching
ridiculous.
Gotham again. I watched the
But
pilot.
watch
that was it.
Shameless. That's great.
Unbreakable 2, I would have been interested to see. I know that there was talk of like doing a trilogy for a little while. And Shyamalan had always talked about maybe wanting to do it, except then he was always like, well, I'm going to go make this other shittier movie instead. And then he did that.
And then he lost all his juice, so it wasn't even an option.
So then Unbreakable 2 was a tough one. And plus, like, I don't really... Seeing a movie with Bruce Willis at this point is, like, really low on my priority list.
Yeah, he's greedy and lazy. I don't like him.
Yeah, like when a movie comes about and I'm like, who's in it? And somebody's like, Bruce Willis. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Well, he won't be in that Woody Allen movie.
No, he won't be in that. And with any luck, he won't be in any more Die Hards. Which is sad, because he's fucking John McClane.
It's hardly like he was in the last two Die Hards, so you know.
That's not true. The last one he was in, but he was in it to the point of ridiculousness. Like here he had like his young strapping young son, who like Jai Courtney is like a beast, and like he's getting the shit beat out of him, and like Bruce Willis is like fucking diving through like panes of glass that are lit on fire and landing 4 stories below, and he doesn't even have a scratch on him.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So
I hear he's a jerk.
yeah,
Hell
well
of a
that too. But Undercover Brother would have been mine, and it's weird because like there's like you said there's not other. It's very rare to have another movie that you're like I pine for a sequel, even the ones that you really like.
Usually the ones you really like when they end.
just wanna leave it alone.
The reason you really like it is because it's satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, it's ended. There are some characters that you may love that you would like to see. Like speaking of Willis, if you want to go down that road, anybody in the movie Armageddon. I love that movie.
That was like a spin-off.
Yeah, right. I'll take a Steve Buscemi movie, which would then be about.
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know that I want to watch. I don't know that I want to see that though, because like I think what makes it work is the chemistry with everybody else. So like I don't know that I would want to see a movie just on that one guy, because
I just can't
like
think of a reason you would bring them all together again like that.
yeah, but remember like isn't that part of
Asteroid.
the issue that happened with like Agents of Shield?
Yeah.
Like everybody was like big on Agent Coulson until they gave him his own show, and they were like, that's not a good idea.
No, Agent Coulson was still the best thing about that show. It's just that show was about nothing.
Yeah, but he's not the guy that's good on the side, not the guy who's good to have everything built around.
Agreed.
Yeah, so it's like that. And then and there's tons of movies that I love, like but I don't know that I would want to see a sequel to it. Like Dumb and Dumber had a sequel, and I love Dumb and Dumber, and then I saw the sequel, and I was like, I wish I would have only ever just seen the first film.
Yeah, see, comedy sequels are rough. I think really you're wishing for Dread with Undercover Brother 2.
No, Undercover Brother 2 I think would be different because of the format. Like something like Step Brothers, which I love, I couldn't see a sequel to that happening. Like I just don't know that it would pop as well as it
What
would.
about Dread? Dread was really good. I'd like to see another Dread.
I would like to see a Dread sequel. And I know they've been trying to make one, or trying to get one off the ground. I don't know that it's ever going to happen. So I think I still want Undercover Brother more than Dread though. I love Undercover Brother. Dread, I really like.
All right.
Yeah, so there you
I
go.
definitely don't want no more goddamn Road Warrior movies. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I know. You're one of the few people that didn't like Mad Max Fury Road.
It was just a lot of noise.
Yeah, we're going to get another one. It's going to be amazing.
I don't think so.
Can't wait. All right.
I think we got time for one more.
No, we're going to squeeze in two. We're going to squeeze in two. I think one will
I
get...
don't know, man.
Nah, we're going to get it. We'll be fine. We got two left on the board. We'll squeeze them right in here. Brian McNatt wants to know about Guillermo del Toro. And by the way, thanks, Mark Bass, for your question once again. Brian McNatt wants to know, between the continuing struggles on Hellboy 2, the recent rumor of Pacific Rim 2 being put on indefinite hold, and how hard it's been getting an adaptation of At the Mountains of Madness off the ground, it seems like Guillermo del Toro doesn't have much luck actually making movies. Do you think Hollywood just isn't made for filmmakers like him, or is it something else? I don't know that there's a problem with Guillermo del Toro making films. Like, he seems to be doing just fine making films. He's a lot of stuff in development. He's got Crimson Peak coming up. He's developing that Haunted Mansion movie over at Disney. Hellboy 2 was just like, it was what it was. Like, that was before the comic book boom really kind of hit. And Hellboy wasn't like a frontline comic. Like, it was still like a very niche, off to the side character. And then you have something like Pacific Rim, which like did well globally, but domestically didn't really do much. Like, didn't really set the world on fire. And I remember, and look, and it was a giant movie with like monsters fighting robots, which should have been like right up fucking summer blockbuster alley, and it didn't happen. And I remember seeing it and thinking it just looked kind of flat. Yeah. Like, how many times was I going to watch this guy pick up the oil tanker ship and bash the fucking brains into the monster? So
I had a problem. My biggest problem with that particular movie was the fact that for the pilots of the giant robots to actually make them work, they had to do like that Dance Revolution thing.
Oh well, yeah,
which just looked ridiculous. It would have been, if they went the Voltron route, I would have been right there.
They're like, sync it up.
That's it. How 5 different pilots do what they do. Instead, they got some mind control nonsense, and they got to be they're moving in unison. And I understood it, but I didn't like it.
And At the Mountains of Madness didn't get made because it was going to be like $100 million R-rated horror movie based off of Lovecraft, which is like a really tough sell for anybody to make.
And I think that the thing really with him is that,
and plus with that
movies,
Well, and plus with that film, with that film, with At the Mountains of Madness 2, like, then he decided, once that got taken off the table, Ridley Scott goes and he makes Prometheus, which builds upon a lot of similar ideas. So Guillermo del Toro's like, well, there's no fucking point in me making this movie anymore, because like, that movie's far too similar to what I wanted to make. So you talk about things like Hellboy 3, your Pacific Rim 2, or At the Mountains of Madness. Like, those are tougher sells to make. Crimson Peak, I think, might be a little bit different. Talking about an October film with a horror element to it. That's kind of a walk in the park. And plus, like, Del Toro hasn't really made films that are like have been gigantic for people. Like, he has a fandom, but like Del Toro hasn't made anything that like the mainstream people see and like, holy shit, another Del Toro movie, I gotta fucking go.
See, I also think there's a portion of it, though, that he gets involved in trying to get so many different things off the ground that there's a perception of failure. You know what I mean? Because he's got his hands in so many things at once.
Yeah, but lots of people do that. I mean, The Rock, like, look at somebody like The Rock. The Rock has like 49 projects in development.
Yeah, but all those things come out. You know what I mean? All those things actually happen. And I think for Del Toro, what happens is he's doing so many things at once that some of that stuff gets put on the back burner, or some of those things change, or somebody makes Prometheus first. And so it kind of puts a pallor on him well, he's not that successful. I think it's just he takes a lot more at bats,
Yeah, I mean, he works for a lot of different stuff, and once again, he is primarily focused on making original things, with the exception of Hellboy, which even once again is very much his because of the fact that there's not a lot of people that were itching to get their hands on Hellboy. So you have things that are very much just his, and to try and get original non-franchise properties off the ground at this juncture is very tough. So it's not that Hollywood isn't made for filmmakers like him. I just think that he is very ambitious with what he wants to do all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that. That the art and the commerce part of the industry butt heads on that, and that's where you have some of these things, some of these issues. But it's not like he's not making films. Like, he's still making films. He's still taking some huge cuts when he's at the plate.
Right.
It's just they don't all pan out.
That's it.
Yeah, I respect somebody who takes a huge swing at ambition.
Absolutely.
It's just not. They're not always for me. But there are. His films are for a lot of other people. So thanks, Brian, for that question. All right, last one, because we can't get out of here without talking about Star Wars at some point. You know that.
It's not allowed.
Yeah. So Noel Aronson wants to know, what's your feeling on living in an age where multiple Star Wars films are in production at the same time before the first of the new era has even been released? That's just the way that I think that's part of it's just the way that the industry works now. You know, they want to try and get these things going as quickly as possible. You know, like Fantastic Four hasn't even been released yet, and there's a release date for Fantastic Four 2.
Right.
You know, we haven't even gotten Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and Warner Brothers has already laid out this grand plan for through like the next 6 years.
Right. Here's what we're going to do because we know it's going to work.
Yeah. So there's that aspect to it. And when it comes to Star Wars, like, let's remember, Disney paid a lot of money to get this thing. And their idea was to never just, like, let it sit on the shelf and collect dust. They wanted to do something with it.
Yeah, that was never a possibility.
And that's what they're doing. You know, it's the same thing with Marvel. Like, Marvel, like, is right now in production on Captain America Civil War, and at the same time they're already starting to move on everything that's coming after that. Like, it's just, that's the way they do it, because these films take time. You know, you're looking at films that take a year and change sometimes to get done, especially something that's effects heavy. That in order to do that, you gotta get things in the pipeline in order to make it work. And you know, when it comes to this, like, you're still talking about things that are not all together. You know, like and especially to make up the schedule that they want to do. So you have The Force Awakens, then you're going to have Rogue One, then you're going to have Episode 8, then you're going to have this Han Solo Boba Fett movie or whatever the fuck it is, then you're going to have Episode 9, then you're going to keep on going. Then who knows, maybe we'll go into episodes 10, 11, and 12 depending on what happens with these new characters. So it's just a way for them to keep coming out with product, and they have a product that people want again. You know,
I think that the overall, for somebody of our age, I think that, and I think the real question here is, you know, compare it to when the originals came out, even when the prequels came out, right? You never had two Star Wars movies in production at the same time. There was never that overlap. There was never that promise of every single year you're gonna, even when the prequels came out, it was every 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. And I truly believe, and I will say this
on the record,
I am in love with everything I have seen of The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
However, I'm somebody who reads the source material. I'm somebody who is intimately involved with devouring all of that content. So one of the things I can tell you is that I already know where the whole three are headed.
All right, well, you keep that to yourself.
Obvious. I'll keep it to myself. But that being said, I also want to point out that one of the things about Star Wars that made it so special was that it was the first of its kind and there was nothing else like it.
Yeah.
Even the stuff that was like it wasn't
like
really
it. No.
You know, the stuff that made it great was the fact, and I'm talking about the original three.
Yes.
There's good stuff in the prequels, but I'm talking about the thing that made the prequels able to exist.
Yes.
You know, it was the fact that it was a futuristic science fiction movie that looked like it took place in the past. It even started with a long time ago. Everything was used. Everything was dirty. It wasn't Buck Rogers. It wasn't shiny. It felt like a real place, even when there were Muppets. You know, and the thing of it is that now. And the thing of it was when you got it, it was such a treat that you savored it. You got crazy about it. It was something that didn't come all the time. In 10 years, Star Wars is going to be like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's going to be like Marvel. And there's nothing wrong with those things.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be very regular.
It's not going to be Star Wars anymore. It's just going to be
another thing. Yeah,
right, just another thing.
Well, it's
for us.
It's part of the way the machine evolves, though, too.
Absolutely.
You know, like when you're talking about the original trilogy or even the prequels, like everything was still George Lucas. You know, even when other people were directing Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, George Lucas was still was still in there. Here, you have this committee, you know, this creative committee that is able to do stuff. So, like, even now, like, you don't even have production on... I mean, production on Episode 8 is just starting, and yet Colin Trevorrow is already having meetings about Episode 9 to start lining those things up and get story elements familiar and in place and start to craft things. So, I think there's much more of a focus on having things be more fluid, and that's how the machine now works to make sure everything is fluid here, as opposed to before, which was like, well, let's see how this one does.
Right, and I think that what's going to be the most interesting thing about this is that there's the possibility, there's the probability that in the next 10 years, you're going to see a Star Wars movie not do well. I don't mean all of them. I mean, one's going to come out and
yeah, the standalones are a roll of the dice in that because everyone's going to be its own thing.
Right. But even by the time you get to Episode 9, you're going to have had seven. You
have 2 standalones,
8 another standalone. That's a lot, man. You know, it's a lot to keep that momentum moving. It's a lot to keep people caring.
And it's just a lot. But then again, at the same time, like when we talk about Marvel all the time, these are the things where like Marvel films come out, and by the time you are out of the theater, the film that you just saw, you barely even remember, and you're looking to the next thing. And that's where we're at, though. We're always about the next thing.
Star Wars.
Look, the thing that I worry about is just overexposure.
Sure.
You know, I ran some errands today with my kids, and I had to hit up like I did 3 places up. I had to go to Target, I had to go to Walmart, and I had to go to Toys R Us.
What the hell did you do?
Yeah, and in hitting all 3 of those places, my 2 kids, okay, who are both under the age of 6, observed that Star Wars was everywhere. And I don't mean just the toys. I mean the toys, the notebooks, the cereal, the clothes. Like it was like that scene in Spaceballs.
The dessert topic.
Yeah, Star Wars: The Flamethrower. It was like that, and that is the one thing that I worry about seeping in and just making it too much. Is because even when Lucas was at his most Lucasest, okay, Star Wars never felt this everywhere. And that I think is the challenge. But other than that, I'm excited about what's to come. I do have reserved expectations, but this is all new. This is all Star Wars we never thought we were going to get. So I'm going to strap in for the ride. And we'll see where it takes us. And that's all I can hope for, is that it turns out to be good. So, thank you, Noel, for the question.
7 will be, definitely.
Yeah. And that's going to close out this episode. Woohoo! We did it!
Kablam!
All right. I was waiting for one of the good ones there. So thank you for listening to this episode. Once again, we are still in the very newborn stages of Just the Worst podcast. So there's a couple things that are still in the works. Website in the works. So justtheworstpodcast.com does exist. If you go there, you won't see anything, but it's along the way, and as well as your subscriptions that you'll be able to get on iTunes, Stitcher, and the like. Just sit tight with those. We're getting everything set up. So in the meantime, you can listen to this on SoundCloud. That's the primary place for you to be able to listen and download this. SoundCloud has all the episodes from Just the Worst podcast, whether it's Just the Worst podcast, Just the Worst wrestling podcast, or now Just the Worst AMA podcast. You can get all those episodes lined up for you there. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. You can get all information there as well at JTW Podcast. You can follow McKevitt on there at Comics, CALMIXX. And I'm on Twitter as well at Infamous Kid. 2 Ds there at the end. We got a Facebook page as well. That would be facebook.com/justtheworstpodcast. So if any developments will all go up on social media. So make sure you spread it all out and get it. And we thank you for submitting your questions to us, as well as listening. So if you want questions in for episode 2, you could tweet it at us once again at JTW Podcast. Hashtag AMA. Just put whatever question you want. You only got 140 characters, so just try and get them in there as best you can. Or you can submit them on the Facebook page, and you can email them as well. justtheworstpodcast@gmail.com. I want to thank my good friend Brian McKevitt for coming along on this journey. It was like riding a bike, dude. We just jumped right on it and took off. Yeah, something like thanks to you, Al Pacino. And I'll thank myself just because I was here too, and I don't want to feel left out. But we thank you for listening. Hopefully you'll be back next week. In the meantime, we're gonna get out of here. So for McKevitt, I'm Billy Donnelly. See you later. We're out. Just the Worst AMA Podcast, episode number 1, has been a presentation of Just the Worst Podcast Media.